Good morning, and welcome to the Growth and Thriving Morning Mindset. I'm your host, Dr. Jerry Sunshine Novak, the biker psychologist. And did you know that it is technically and literally impossible to have anxiety and breathe deeply at the same time? This is the importance, or at least part of the importance, of breath work. I know most of us breathe all day, every day. We don't even have to think about it, and we consider ourselves expert breathers. Some of us maybe even spend a lot of time conditioning our cardiorespiratory system, running or cycling or working in other sort of endurance and cardiovascular type exercises or sports, playing soccer, basketball, things of that sort. Those things are definitely healthy for you. They'll improve your well-being. However, most of us breathe less efficiently and less effectively than we could. Breath work is the study of using our breath to manage our internal processes. And if you go back to your, eighth grade biology, our nervous system splits into several different segments, right? And one of those segments is the autonomic nervous system, things that are supposed to happen without our control, our intervention. Things like breathing, heart rate, blood pressure, balance, digestion, things of that sort. Breath work is the way that we use our breath to tap into those sorts of things. So there are many different types of breath work, but it really is the practice of learning to, the breath is the doorway into our nervous system, our autonomic nervous system. And the autonomic nervous system splits into two branches, sympathetic and parasympathetic. Sympathetic is our fight or flight type of response when we feel threatened or afraid. And parasympathetic is what they call the rest and digest response. That's when we are calm, when we are open to connection with other human beings, when we are eating and digesting food, our heart rate is low, our blood pressure is low. People with PTSD, as an example, who have experienced trauma and suffer from PTSD symptoms, these people have a hard time accessing their parasympathetic nervous system. They spend a lot of their time in the sympathetic fight or flight response. That's the nature of PTSD. It tends to make you feel like things are a threat, like you're always or chronically in danger. And because you feel like you are chronically in danger, you tend to be chronically in that fight or flight response. However, optimal well-being comes from spending short periods of time in our fight or flight response, followed by longer periods of rest and digest. And breath work is a way in which we can balance those two nervous systems. Generally speaking, a lot of breath work focuses on diaphragmatic breathing, breathing from deep in your belly instead of shallow chest breathing, which sometimes is, if your shoulders rise when you breathe, that's usually chest breathing. Belly breathing is much deeper and it fills the abdomen with air. And has long, slow, full breaths. There are many types of breath work that you can focus on, far too many for the parameters of this email. Because many of us struggle with that parasympathetic, that rest and digest nervous system, there's a lot of breath work that looks at accessing that. And this is why it's impossible to breathe deeply and have anxiety, by the way. Our inhalation tends to amplify or amp up that fight or flight response when we inhale, which is why before you do something scary or something you're nervous about, you go, all right, let's go, right? And our exhalation tends to stimulate that rest and digest nervous system, which is why when you're done doing something intense or scary, man, that was intense, right? And so anxiety thrives on that fight or flight response. And if you can learn to breathe deeply, and especially to exhale deeply when you're feeling afraid or nervous, it's impossible to continue to have anxiety. The trick is that when you are feeling afraid or nervous or anxious, it becomes harder to manage your breath. So the more you practice it when you're not anxious, the easier you can access it when you are anxious. So, as I said, there are many types of breath work. In fact, sports psychologists will help with breath work that is designed to amplify the fight or flight response so that athletes can get properly amped up before they go out to compete without nervousness or anxiety, but with heightened arousal. So they use breath work for that purpose. Today, what I want to do is just show you maybe the most basic type of breath work. It's called box breathing. And it's called box breathing because the inhalation, exhalation, and spaces between the inhalation, exhalation are all about even. So the general recommendation for a box breath is that you inhale for 4 seconds, and you can imagine it following a box pattern. You're going to inhale for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, and hold that for 4 seconds, and then repeat. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds. And so it looks like this. Ready? And I will sort of count my seconds as we. And so on. So experiment, practice with the box breath. Try to fill your belly, not your chest so much with air. Get that diaphragm working. Yes, technically your chest will still fill with air because your lungs are there. But the more you focus on filling the bottom of the belly, the more fully you will expand your lungs. So you can take a bigger, fuller breath. And experiment with the box breathing. If you want, you can search up other types of breath work. And let me know how you make out. If you get good at this, if you practice it, you should find that it's available to you in times of high intensity, during emergencies, or during times when you just feel anxious about an upcoming project or a speech you have to give. And then you can manage your breath in order to manage that anxiety. So play with it, figure it out, work on it. Let me know how you make out. Send me a message and talk to me about it. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, this is Dr. Jerry Sunshine Novak, the biker psychologist, saying, biker up and just keep growing until you're thriving. Take care, everybody.